Here we are. Here we are live.
Hello,
Welcome,
hello.
everybody. Thank you so much. If you're here today, I've got a fabulous treat for you because our Colleen Pearl, the cool crone, is here to do a beautiful explanation of Master Lady Nada and has lots and lots of information on her. So this is part of our Ascended Master series. We don't always do it live, but we thought it would be fun to do. So that's why we're doing it. So welcome, Colleen, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Allie. And I want to thank you up front for just asking me to contribute because I might never have discovered Lady Master Nada had it not been for this, process of trying to figure out which Ascended Master I wanted to talk about. So thank you very
Sure.
much for that. And I
Oh, thank
realize
you.
now, yeah, it's all divinely guided because my connection with her is it's just begun. It's a new baby relationship, but I'm very excited to work with her more because a lot of what she does just really vibes with what I do. So
Sure,
I'm very,
sure.
very, very excited about
That's
that.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
And
yeah.
later on, we will have a bibliography at the end of this that Colleen, for where Colleen got her information, just for security's sake here. And she's also
Hmm.
got some charts and pictures that we're going to share as we go along. So, hello,
Yeah.
Diana. Welcome. Thanks for being here. And I just want to say hello to everybody. I'm going to give this over to Colleen and let her do her thing. So there we go. There you
Oh,
go,
thank you
Colleen.
so much. Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you for being here. And I just want to reiterate that I did reach out to each source that I used and asked permission for using their information. And some of it I did pull from their websites, but I'm attributing everything to them. And a lot of it I rewrote in my own words just to make the lecture a little bit shorter because I have a tendency to go really long and I don't want to do that to anybody. Um, but I just wanted to let you know that every single one of the sources that I reached out to thanked me for informing people about the ascended masters, for promoting their existence and allowing people to realize that not only can you work with deities, but you can work with ascended masters in a very similar way. And
Hmm.
that's really their role. Their role is to help us. So there's archangels. That's great. You can work with archangels, but an ascended master is a person who has walked on earth, and so
Hmm.
they know what the human condition is all about. And so it's another part of your spiritual path that you should definitely look into.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the ascended Lady Master Nada is the Chohan of the sixth ray of peace, ministration, and service. So, Lady Master Nada is the soul's advocate before the bar of divine justice, a unifier of families and twin flames, a qualifier of love as ministration and service to every part of life, a path of deeds prerequisite to self mastery on the ruby ray. And two of her mottos are: the servant is not greater than his Lord, and I am my brother's keeper.
Oh,
I feel
that's
like I'm
beautiful.
giving the titles of Daenerys Stormborn in Game of Thrones when I'm listing all of those titles out, but she does have a lot of titles.
She
Um,
does. Mhm.
and she guides us to our own personal Christhood through service to others. And because the love she shows seems to open us, if you work with her, it will open you like a rose unfurls its petals. And so she is often shown with a pink rose, pink being one of the colors for the heart.
Mhm.
So before I get into all of her information, okay, this is all the bibliography. You'll get the bibliography in the description of the YouTube video, and then also when it comes to the actual artwork that you're going to see, I will tell you about that person who painted it because they are also an amazing contributor of this information. I want to
Mhm.
talk about the terms that you're going to hear in this lecture because I want everybody to be able to really take in the information. And if you don't know what the terms mean, you'll be distracted by what is that? Do I have to go Google it? Whatever. So let's
Mhm.
just talk about the terms. The first thing that I want to address is the use of traditional religious terms. Now, many times you're going to hear me mention God, Christ, Jesus, Mother Mary, Christ-like, Buddha-like, Christhood, Buddhahood. And these are terms that may trigger some of you with a negative response. Now, if you were raised in a traditional Western Judeo-Christian setting, you may have rebelled against this type of religious training. So I want you to really try to let go of these mindsets and realize that we are all of the planet Earth. Our language is limited. Our minds are limited. But as we expand our consciousness and come closer to enlightenment ourselves, it no longer serves us to deny or reject the terms of our youth with which we take exception. So if you don't like the word God, substitute source. If you don't want to think about Christhood, call it Buddhahood in your mind. If you don't want to call it Buddhahood, call it Christhood. But don't deny or reject it. This does not serve you, and it will cause you to miss the salient points of my message today. Okay. Next
Cool.
is what is a Chohan? We don't really use that word. Even in metaphysical circles, I don't hear people use that word. So what is a Chohan? Let's decipher that. Let's get into that. So the word Chohan has been a source of confusion for many years. Many people, theosophists included, have claimed that there is no such word in either Tibetan or Sanskrit, and that it must therefore have been invented by H.P. Blavatsky, Madame Blavatsky, or one of her associates. Now, Chohan or Chokhan is simply the master's and HPB's, that's Blavatsky's, way of writing as phonetically as possible. And remember, she was writing about a century ago, as phonetically as possible in the days long before standardized systems of Tibetan or Sanskrit transliteration had been established. So the Tibetan word, supposedly, is Chokyang. In the Wiley system of transliteration, the same word is rendered as Chos Skyong. In her entry for Lama, as in Dalai Lama, in the Theosophical Glossary, HPB does in fact use the apparently more phonetically accurate spelling of Choikchang. That gets even weirder. And then, and there she says she's using that as a term to mean the initiated esotericists. Now, there is another explanation that does say that it comes from Tibetan language. It says Chohan, which is Tibetan, possibly a kind of a bastardization of the two words Chos, and I can't really pronounce it because it has a umlaut over the O, but I'll just say Chos, law, and then Dharma plus Mong, which means con lord. So that whole thing condensed down into Chohan would translate roughly as Lord of the Dharma. Dharma is truth. So, and in the Mahatma letters, Chohan is the title usually given to superiors among the masters of the Great White Lodge. And I'm not going to go into what that is. That one you will have to Google. Whose chief is called the Maha Chohan. Also a general term used for beings in several states of evolution higher than human. So if it's an ascended master, then it literally is higher than human because we're talking about ascension.
Sure.
And that brings me to the next term we want to talk about, ascension. Now, ascension can be thought of in two ways: ascending to a higher vibrational level while still in the body, and ascending to God and becoming a spiritual teacher, a high spiritual teacher. For both normal humans and ascended masters, the ascension process means complete liberation from the rounds of karma and rebirth. In the ascension process, the soul becomes merged with her solar presence, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Actually, if you could put up the Buddha picture, the Buddhahood picture, that would be great. So in this picture, what you see is this pillar. To me, it looks like one of those big selenite slabs that you use to charge your stones on an altar, right? The solar presence this is us, right? This is our little halo around us for our crown chakra. This is the silver cord, which is, a metaphor for us connecting to our higher self. This is our higher self. And this up here is the solar presence. So this is higher than your higher self. But when you go higher than your higher self, you are connecting with source or solar presence. And
Wow.
we'll talk about the bands later. All right. So it's the soul being merged with the solar presence in ascension and experiencing freedom from the gravitational or karmic pull of the earth, entering a bliss of beingness within God's eternal presence of divine love. So you're going way, 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 way up high, and that's a type of ascension. But for an ascended master, now I don't know for ascended masters, do they ascend right upon transition? Or do they have to go to school up there somehow for a while and then they become ascended? I don't know. I mean, there's only been, a few people who have walked the earth who have become ascended masters. And right now, I don't have a direct conversational line with them. So I don't know what the actual process is. But for humans to ascend, usually we are not talking about the same process. Usually that is a process of enlightenment. We refer to it as enlightenment or raising your vibration or connecting to the source or whatever. But what happens for an ascended master is something I think more connected to true source than what we are doing, just raising our vibration. We are on our way. That is the same path, right? But most ascension, I think, is happening in one of those two ways. The next term you're going to hear me use is archaei. Archaei is a feminine archangel. Now, please don't get all crazy about gender and sexual identity and all that stuff because I'm using the word feminine archangel. In the descriptions of what the 7 rays are and the 5 crystal rays, they do make a distinction between archangel and archaei. And they do say very clearly that they are pairs, they are twin flames. And so in order to identify them, to remove confusion, they created another term. So an archaei is a feminine archangel, just as every soul has a twin flame. I love that concept. Every soul has a twin flame, or maybe a couple. Every archangel has an archaei. As an example, Mother Mary is an archaei on the ray of healing, the green ray. And now I'm going to direct your attention to the circles of color here. So the green ray is here. It's the 6th ray. The 6th ray of healing? No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it numbers from outside in or inside out. But anyway, it's the green ray. As an example, so she's on the green ray, and Archangel Raphael is on the green ray. So they are twin flames on the green ray. There are 7 archangels and archaei representing the 7 rays or the 7 major aspects of God's consciousness. Now, for the specific colors, we can look here, but don't worry so much about the colors. I don't know if any of you have ever studied the Kabbalah, but it's not so much important that you memorize what all of these things are, because as you are going on your spiritual journey, you will feel them and you will discover them. So don't get too hung up on all the details of this stuff. But now let's talk about what are the 7 rays, because we're going to hear this over and over again. She's on this particular ray. Each of the 7 rays has the presiding archangel and archaei who embody the quality of that ray and direct the angelic bands serving under them on that ray. So you have your ascended masters who are acting, not ascended masters, the archangels and archaei who are on those bands, and then they direct other angels to go and do the work, which is very organized of them. Now, the primary role, I know, it's a lot of information. The primary role of the archangels is to radiate celestial light into our world for the freeing and saving of souls and for the illumination and freedom of life. So we are supposed to be free here. We are not just here to suffer and learn lessons, although we are here to learn lessons too. And that usually takes suffering. They amplify and emanate the feelings of God, which includes all the virtues, graces, and benevolent light energies to bless mankind and the nature kingdom. The first ray is will, faith, protection, power. So that first ray is very, very, very important. The second ray is illumination. The third ray is love. The fourth ray, purity. The fifth ray, healing, abundance, truth, and vision. The sixth ray, service. That's the one that Lady Nada is on. And the seventh ray, forgiveness and freedom. Now, again, don't go worrying about taking notes on all of this. I'm actually going to, I've created a PDF that you can all download. It'll be in the description from on Allie's channel and on my channel. It's just a little chart. It gives you what the rays are, who is the archangel and archai for both the 7 rays and the 5 crystal rays.
Is this it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll be downloading. You can download
Yeah.
that for yourself so that you have it. And now
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about the 5 crystal rays. Now,
Oops, I'm
these
sorry.
are, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, no worries.
Very
Yep.
helpful. I realize now that it would have been a mess if I was trying to do this myself. So, what are the 5 crystal rays? So, they are formally known as the 5 secret rays because up until recently, and a lot of these websites are very big on putting dates on things. And as you know from doing tarot and oracle card readings, dates just don't happen for us. It just
Right.
don't. So I did not quote the dates because I thought, oh, that's another little detail that people would get so hung up on. So I'm just going to leave that out. But they do have an actual date of when this was discovered. But what was discovered is who the archangel and archai was for each of these 5 crystal rays.
Oh.
So the crystal rays have a mysterious and multi-dimensional quality. They scintillate, they sparkle, they vibrate. The activation of these rays causes a greater sensitivity in the consciousness of the student as the rays clear and spiritualize our auras and widen the crystal cord connection, this connection here between ourselves and our higher selves, and then on to solar presence. It widens the crystal cord connection between our Christ Buddha self and our souls. So, another piece of this is that your higher self is your higher self. The solar presence can also be known when you reach it. It's not until you reach it that you have this. Until you reach it, it is just your solar presence, the solar presence. When you reach it, it is your Christ self or your Buddha self, however you want to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, on that chart, I've gone through what the archangels and archai are for each of the rays. And do I have a breakdown? Somewhere I have a breakdown. Yeah, I don't have a breakdown of what the rays do. I think the rays are more for personal discovery. So I don't think they're actually saying, here's what each one does. It's just saying, here's the color, and here's your archangel and archai. But the crystal rays do move and change, and they're difficult to pin down. But and there is a primary vibration of color for each. But what my sources said is that it's best not to focus so much on the specific color as to allow the rays to work through you as they would. And one author quoted a darshan is a lecture by Lord Maitreya that says, move in their stream, which is the nature of the cosmos itself. So again, this is a journey of personal discovery, and you will find in whatever way that you get there, if you allow yourself to move in their stream, then does it really matter what color it is? No. What matters is how you feel. And that's what's really important here. Now,
Absolutely.
yeah, right? I mean, it is
Yeah.
just this very, very personal, intimate journey that you're taking with
Sure.
the ascended master helping you. And healers like Jesus, when he was alive, had access to these rays. This is a lot of this teaching is coming from the Essene teachings. And one of the very, very rich sources that I found was a website about the Essene teaching. And I think, let me see, it's in the bibliography, but they are an Essene community. And there's a husband and wife team that have channeled tremendous amounts of information. They have another person who is now doing most of the channeling for them, but they promote the study of the ascended masters tremendously. And they just have a tremendous amount of information. Now, if you go to their website, it will sound very, very Western religious to you because the Essenes informed a lot of Jesus' teachings. He studied with them before he went and did his thing and wherever he, got hung up. And so again, if those terms trigger you, just substitute other, I say just, we'll work on that triggering, first of all, just
Right.
work on it.
Right.
But if you can, substitute words that are not so triggering. Anyway, so Jesus used these rays, and this complemented and intensified the work of the 7 rays, which are the consciousness of God, right? And this brought about miracles, right? Miraculous
Yeah.
regeneration in the lives of those who came to him for assistance. So, I mean, he could literally perform miracles. And you can activate these rays by invoking the names of the mighty archangels and archai to bring greater power and concentration to the work of the archangels of the 7 rays in your life. So, without even really knowing too much about the 7 rays, you can grab the I won't say all the power, but you can grab the influence of those rays by naming the archangel and archai of that ray before you begin to do your work, whatever your
Cool.
work is, healing,
Yeah.
meditation, self-discovery, whatever. Because as you heard with the 7 rays, they all have specific areas that you can work on. Okay. um all right, so that's that. We did that. That's the PDF you're going to get. All right. So now if you could put up the other picture, the Glenn Lewis picture.
Yep.
So this is a picture painted of Lady Nada by Glenn Lewis, who is a New Zealand psychic and medium. He has a beautiful, beautiful website, and it's called, let me see if I can find the name of it really quick without. He is ascensionhealing.co.nz. And he painted this in, I think the year is on there. I think it's 2000. I want to say 2009.
Yeah. It says 9. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
And he just had a real connection. Well, he does a lot of stuff on Ascended Masters and he uses them. And he, like all the other sources that I connected, also thanked me for promoting this information and giving it out. And I felt kind of funny, I'm saying, okay, you're welcome. And I'm like, it's really Allie who
I know,
promoted
but
this.
you found her. You found all of it. So.
Yeah, but I told him that too. I said, it's going to be on this woman's station also, and you should know that.
Yeah.
So he was thrilled that it was going to be on 2 different American YouTube channels. He was just thrilled. But now this petition that I'm going to read, I believe, is from the Essene website. I'm not quite sure, so don't quote me on that. But it's just to kind of get you in the zone of Lady Nada, because it just talks about a lot of things that are very important to her. So I would call this a petition. Some people might call this a prayer. Some people might call this a call to action. But I'm just going to read it for you because I think it's a good way. And look at Lady Nada's picture as I'm reading it, because you'll
Okay.
later, when we talk about the picture, you'll be amazed at how much information is in this picture. All right. So from the petition about Lady Nada, it's called I Am My Brother's Keeper. I am my brother's keeper. O God, help me to be all service and assistance, compassion just like thee. I am my brother's keeper. O Jesus, by thy flame of resurrection's blessing, give comfort in thy name. I am my brother's keeper. O presence of God so near, the fullness of thy blessing, pure divinity appears. I am my brother's keeper, the guardian of his flame. In quiet power and knowing, I love him in thy name.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's
That's
nice.
lovely.
And
Yeah.
notice it changes your energy when you read it. It
Yeah.
changes the vibration. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. I thought it
It
was
is.
really
It is
interesting.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. So now, most of the information about Lady Nada's past lives as a human are coming from the Essene website. And I think that's the Summit Lighthouse one, that website. And so they called this embodiments of devotion to love and service. Embodiments is their way of describing an incarnation. So on Atlantis, the ascended Lady Master Nada served as a priestess in the Temple of Love, working on healing and self transformation. She
Hmm.
had great knowledge and understanding of the physical karma that affected the spirit and soul through the higher self that needed to be cleared. She learned many techniques of healing, such as sound, color, hands on, manifestation, and working with crystals, essential oils, herbs, and counseling techniques to heal the whole body. She taught this to the priests and priestesses of Atlantis who worked with her to heal the people who came to the temple. And in the altar, Lady Nada installed the violet flame of self transformation for all.
Hmm.
Through meditations on the law of God while serving in the temple, she realized that the law is a reliable instrument that a mother should use to protect her children from the cunning of the world. She was also embodied as a lawyer on Atlantis, where she championed the cause of divine justice for the downtrodden and oppressed. And she acts as a lawyer still at the
Hmm.
divine bar of justice. Very interesting.
Wow.
She spent, yeah, right. She spent several, yeah, she spent several of her last lifetimes by anonymously keeping the flame of life for her family and other members of the community. Now, one of Lady Nada's other lifetimes was in India, where early on, as a young girl, her gifts came through in an extraordinary fashion. People were drawn to her, and she taught as a female guru working in this lifetime with yoga to clear energy blocks in the body and with food groups that can cleanse the body and restore balance. And I think this is a marvelous connection to India, which is where Ayurveda was
Right.
created. Yes,
Yep.
many thousands of years ago. So she was working with yoga and Ayurvedic food and
Yeah.
medicine in order to heal people. So I don't know how much you know about Ayurveda, but when it comes to diet, they identify several different types of bodies. And then
Hmm.
they have several different types of qualities that they put against those body types to help create a personal diet for a person that will bring them the most harmony in their body, the most chi and the most harmony.
Right. Right.
So with all of those elements to combine together, you get quite a bit of individualistic diagnosis for someone where you can really help them. And then you couple that with yoga, which is known to help digestion by helping you move the body, especially the core of your body and your gut, in such a way
Hmm.
that it facilitates better digestion and balance of chi. So
Mm.
she was doing that in India in this lifetime, and she apparently started doing it as a very, very young girl.
Hmm. Wow.
Now, in her final embodiment, or what they think is her final embodiment, was the youngest child in a large family, and I believe this is back on. This might have been in India or Atlantis. They really didn't make it clear. But
Okay.
early in her childhood, Nada was taught by the Archaea charity how to focus intense love in her heart and radiate it into the chakras of her brothers and sisters so that
Hmm.
they might uplift Earth's culture through their heightened awareness and through the profession and arts in which they were engaged. And that's mind blowing. Like that she's as that she is
Yeah.
figuring out that not only can she help her brothers and sisters, but she can help them help others. I
Right.
mean, this this is an extraordinary no wonder she's an ascended master. In
Really.
right? In
Yeah.
this life, all of the children of her family were offered the chance of a higher education, but she refused so that she could concentrate on the teachings and gifts that charity was offering her. So rather than pursuing a career, she served her brothers and sisters by helping them in daily life and through meditation for their protection and success. And they were successful.
Mm.
So her meditations were essential to the victories of her brothers and sisters. And today, Lady Master Nada is the patroness of teachers, nurses, ministers, lawyers, and all those who place the needs of others before their own in daily activities and choices. So her
Wow.
story demonstrates to us an example of disciplined action, very disciplined action,
Yeah.
employing the focused goal of selflessness in thought, word, and deed. Now,
It's
another
amazing.
source comments on Lady Nada's final incarnation and in that life and says that she was unable to have children. So, as a soul living from the heart, she overcame her pain and took all children into her heart. And so they believe now that she works with women who have trouble with their monthly cycle and reproductive organs, those who are unable to have children, and those who have problems with fertility. And she,
Hmm.
in the pictures, she's often depicted as a blonde, though she probably has dark hair. And I'm told that the image of the blonde hair is due to the amount of light around her head.
That doesn't surprise me. That's the one I had found one to put up for the
I
show,
saw
and it was
that.
all
Yes.
blonde. Yeah,
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 that's right.
yep.
Now, the lessons that Nada would teach us concern the gifts of the Holy Spirit, and they involve the mastery of nuances of vibration in the five crystal rays and their almost infinite combination with the elements of the seven rays as the qualities of the word are released through the chakras. Now, let me explain what that all is. So,
Mhm.
in the Bible, there are gifts that are referred to as diverse kinds of tongues and the interpretation of tongues. And this doesn't mean speaking in tongues. This is talking about communications in general. And
Okay.
one of the very practical meanings of these gifts is the ability to engage in divine communication, a communication with others that brings about a positive alteration in the consciousness of both the communicator and the listener. Think about that. A
Wow.
positive alteration in the consciousness of the communicator and the listener. And when I read that, I realized this is my strongest connection with Lady Master Nada, in that when you
Yep.
are doing readings for people, we have said many times on my shows that the reading is also for the reader.
Yes.
Every reading is yes for your sitter, but also for you as a reader. And
Hmm.
so that act of divination is divine communication because we are both being affected.
Right.
And I just went, okay,
Right.
that's the deal. That is the deal.
That's the deal.
So,
You
yes,
know that, and it's we often listen with the expectation of saying something, but that's not always the correct thing to do. It's listening and really taking in what that person is like we are right now with you, and then discerning later, not having to answer to anything necessarily. That's
right.
beautiful. I love that.
And
Yeah.
that's another. I know I keep bringing up the Kabbalah, but that's another lesson that you learn when you study the Kabbalah. One of the first things that you need to learn is discernment, because
Right.
there. And I think in this day and age of the internet, that's a marvelous thing spiritually to focus on, because how do you discern what is true and what is not?
That's
And
right.
how do you discern what is true for you
For
and
you.
what is not?
Right.
That's
Yep.
the really big one.
It
All
is.
right, a little bit more here about her.
That's fine.
So the current teachings from Lady Master Nada discuss service and ministration in our daily lives. And she shares, these are words that were channeled from Lady Nada.
Hmm.
Service is the great flower that is extended to all as a gift of self that places the needs of others before one's personal desires. Ministration is the balm that allows the Holy Spirit to work its perfect work to meet the point of need and then add the element of divine grace that will lift the soul beyond the desire to fall back into a sense of lack and limitation.
Mm.
That is a very powerful statement, because I
Hmm.
myself have seen over the years so many people who got, let's call it the word, whatever it is, some spiritual concept or some illumination about themselves, some self-awareness or some lesson that they learned, and then it's gone. For
Yep.
some reason they can't hang on to it, and they therefore they can't progress, and pretty much they're doomed to repeat whatever caused them to have to learn it in the first place.
Oh yeah.
And so one of the things that she is saying is that she wants to prevent that. She wants to allow people to learn things and not fall back into that sense of lack and limitation. I find this so much with people, especially when it comes to um, a lot of people, when they turn to spirituality and they discover the law of attraction, the first thing that they want to do is attract money.
Right.
And you talk to them 5 years later, and they're still talking about attracting money, getting that Mercedes Benz, getting that new house.
Right.
And if it worked, they wouldn't be talking about it 5 years later, right? So
Very true.
it's
Yep.
so sad to me that this is coming back to people not being self-aware enough to understand that you are worth it, that you're a million times worth it, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore if you're worth it, who cares if you have a Mercedes Benz? Who
That's right.
cares if you have $10,000 in the bank? I guess $10,000 isn't that much money anymore, but that's the way I think of it. Like, who cares?
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so this is another reason why I'm really drawn to her, is because these concepts of self-awareness, of illumination, of accepting your Godhead, your God presence, is just so powerful. And
It is.
in my past, I was married to a man for about 10 years who was practicing Hindu. And so in our lives, we often looked at, karma,
Mm-hmm.
what is going on with karma, what is happening with that. And when I came out of that relationship, I didn't really lose all of the tenets of Hinduism that I had
Mm-hmm.
embraced. They
Right.
went along very, very well for me with Wicca. And
Yeah.
so I see, and also there's such a strong school. If you want to learn about reincarnation, there's just so much information about
There is.
reincarnation in that pantheon. So that's,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really into reincarnation. So being able to study that was, probably 50% of my attraction to Hinduism, is that,
Sure. Sure.
all of this stuff went along with what I was trying to say. And
Yep.
if you're constantly coming back on the wheel of life and learning the same thing, then you're doing it wrong.
Right.
You really
Yeah.
need
You're
to,
not growing.
you're not
That's right.
growing,
Yeah.
newsflash, you're not going
Yeah.
anywhere.
I know.
So, all
Yeah.
right. So
Wow.
she's very much involved with initiation and sponsorship of twin flames and the
Hmm.
modern family, not just the family you're
Oh,
born with, but the way our families really are. Because
okay.
we move, we're a mobile culture. We
Yeah.
we we think that we really settle down and get into one place, but a mortgage is temporary, right? So you have a mortgage, and then you have a
Everything is.
rent. And it's all
Yeah.
temporary, right? So the
Yeah.
modern
Uh,
family gets formed around who comes to you and who you go to when you need things.
right.
Now, she also ministers to the world's children with legions of angels who personally tend to the needs of youth. So she's almost acting like an archaea in her own right, because she is
Hmm.
also directing legions of angels. Now,
Wow.
one of these websites said that it said, I'll just read it. She says, "Beloved Lady Master Nada succeeded." Oh, wait, I forgot to tell you what she says. She says, "I give you my love, for all else I have already given away." And the motto of her disciples is, "I serve." So
Hmm.
from Nada, we learn the practical application of love and the path of personal Christhood through ministration and service. So all you Virgos out there, Lady Nada is your gal. All that
Hmm.
Virgo energy, right?
Hmm.
Now, so this one website says that Lady Master Nada succeeded Jesus as the Chohan of the sixth ray of ministration and service on December 31st, 1959. Now, I don't know I mean, you can't prove or disprove it, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And how do you even prove or disprove that Jesus even was the Chohan of the sixth ray until
Right.
that point? You know?
Right.
So these
Yes.
are things that we just have to take on faith. And
Uh,
she also serves, there are on one of these websites, they also promote retreats to certain places on the earth that they say are really connected to certain ascended masters. And
uh-huh.
Jesus has a retreat which Lady Nada shares with him in the etheric octave. It isn't really like a spa or something. It's an etheric retreat over Saudi Arabia, which I think is very
Oh,
interesting,
yeah.
and also on something they call the karmic board as the representative for the third ray. So apparently there is real organizing entities in the higher realms to keep things organized, I guess, to just
Uh-huh.
like who's going to do what. And They say also that she made her ascension nearly 3,000 years ago. So
Oh,
well before Christ did his thing.
sure.
So she's been an
Hmm.
ascended master for a very, very, very long time.
Wow.
Um, let's see. Oh, I'll tell you about the painting now. This is God, I'm so glad he got back to me. I was
Hmm.
so happy to get his email, and
Oh, yeah.
he was very grateful and he was very happy. And I said, yes, 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 we're going to promote your website and your healings and everything. So don't worry about it. So
Uh-huh.
he painted this is Glenn Lewis, who painted this
Yeah.
beautiful picture that we're looking at here of Lady Nada. And it shows her standing in the doorway of unconditional love, surrounded by citrine quartz crystals. And it does look like she's
Hmm.
standing in a geode a little bit,
She does.
with the world above her head, showing
Uh-huh.
the higher mind working in the ascension process for all of humanity. She is standing on a lotus of violet flame. That's the
Hmm.
transcendent violet flame beneath her. Beside her are a boy and a girl representing all cultures, holding the pink lotus of unconditional love for humanity and for the children of our world that are indigo, crystalline, and rainbow, who
Oh,
are being
wow.
born now, having come through past lives on Atlantis.
Hmm.
She is holding in her hands the pink flame of unconditional love, and in her heart center is the world surrounded by the violet flame of transmutation of all thoughts, feelings within the heart, recognizing that the world is not just around us, but is within us.
Uh-huh.
And that concludes my little talk
Oh,
about.
my goodness. That's beautiful. So many things that you said here have resonated with me and my journey. And I'm not a Virgo, but as you know, I'm a Libra, but it really, really speaks to me. And the most thing that speaks to me here is the Essene information, because I was told I wasn't a scene all those years
Yeah,
ago in a previous lifetime, and have always had that speak to me. So,
yeah.
it's very possible that, Lady Nada and I have had a life, some sort of life interaction together, and I just love it. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
absolutely. And let me just point out, I guess, let's see, Ascension Healing, that's Mr. Lewis. Um, the heartcenter.org. That's the one with the husband and wife team that is an
Oh, here.
Aquarian
Okay.
scene community. Yeah. So you want to go to heartcenter.org and look at
Uh
all
huh.
their teachings. And you will find with them, I think this is the husband wife team, right? Who we
Right.
are, what we do. Their names are escaping me now.
It's not the prophets though. The prophets are the different. Aren't they Mormons? I think that
No, the
Mark and
no,
Lizzie Claire. No.
they're Mormons. Okay, so yeah, this is not the. I don't think this is, but I'm not sure. But
Okay.
their channel is David Christopher Lewis. Oh, Glenn Lewis
Okay.
and David Christopher Lewis. Isn't that interesting? They both have the same last.
Yeah. Uh
But
huh.
the Essene, I have always vibed a lot with the Essenes as well.
Yeah. Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
as well as the Zoroastrians. And I just feel like the
Hmm.
Essenes, I'm sure that I did many, many, many lifetimes there, because everything that's said from the Essene community is just like, "Mhm, of course, of course, yes, that's just
Right.
a game." So, you know,
Yes.
but
Absolutely.
clearly,
Wow.
if I could be Wiccan and married to a Hindu for 10 years, clearly I'm a little bit fluid with my spirituality.
And that's what I am. When I went to Houston Baptist University for one of my masters, I took a Hinduism and Buddhism class, changed my life. And then I took an Islam class. And I always have said that I'm like a Heinz 57 when it comes to
Yeah.
spirituality. And that sounds like you. You take what
Yeah.
resonates and
Yeah.
you use it. Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
I think the longer I go on my path, and I think this probably started before I even married my second husband, but it just
mhm.
doesn't matter. What matters
Yeah.
is your journey and your love, because they
Yeah.
all say the same thing. Love is the
They do.
most powerful thing in the universe.
Yeah.
If you just start there, then you really can't go wrong with anything else.
That's very true, Colleen. No,
You
very
know,
true. Yeah.
just
Wow.
go there and don't worry about the labels. Don't worry about any of this other stuff. But do for everybody watching. And I'm sorry I completely ignored the chat. I didn't say anything to anybody. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. I've been
But
saying hello and thanking
oh,
them for
good.
coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. That's
Mhm.
good. I just think it's really important to understand that you have your higher self, and then above that you have your solar presence, and from the solar presence you can connect to everything:
Yeah.
angels, archai, ascended
Yeah.
masters, source, other deities, and
Yeah.
I could go on and on, but anyway, that
No, and I'm reading a book right now on the Akashic records, and it also shows you where the splits are, so to
Mhm,
speak. And up
mhm.
here, of course, are the ascended masters, and they're
Yeah.
available to all of us. We just
Yeah,
have
they
to
are.
ask.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
their whole purpose. I mean, they're
Right.
not up there to be untouchable. They're up there to very
Right.
much be engaged in humanity. Um,
Right.
that's the other thing too. The more that you study various types of thought, like Kabbalah, is a
Mhm.
real interesting thing. Now, there's three different ways that you can look at Kabbalah. There is the Jewish mysticism Kabbalah, which is spelled with a K. There is the Christian Kabbalah, which is spelled with a C,
Mhm.
and then there is
Right.
more metaphysical, or it's not strictly Wiccan Kabbalah, but there are a lot of Wiccans who have written about it, and that one's
Mhm.
spelled with a Q.
Oh,
And
I didn't know about that. Okay. Cool.
yeah, so if you look into the Kabbalah and just I think it's Ted Andrews has a wonderful book about the Kabbalah, that where he teaches you how to meditate on the various Sephiroth. And if you just begin that, I've only really done just a very rough, rudimentary beginning of the meditations on that. And it
Mhm.
just opens you up so much. It just kind of
Awesome.
explodes your brain, and you're kind of like, it's like, I don't know, mushrooms or something. It just like really opens you up. And you
I
get
love it.
you get this feeling that the doors to the universe will open. All you have to do is knock. And
Right. Right.
the Kabbalah meditations are a very for those of us who need a little instruction, or who like a little structure.
Mhm.
stru- Instruction, structure comes with the same word, right? That these kinds of things really help. They help you to
Yeah,
let go and to open up to things,
they
so you
do.
feel safe, and it's a whole other world of stuff. But a lot of the things that you see in those meditations would be reflective of all of the things that we spoke about today.
Right.
You will see all of that stuff. So, and it's all coming from your mind and your connection to that higher source. So very,
Sure.
very,
So it's
very
almost like taking a trip without having to take any drugs. And I've often thought that that's the truth, that we just have so much clouding us. Some people can only do that like Timothy Leary did or whatever. And then when you realize that you have that access, you don't need to have this to have that access. Your whole world opens up, just as you said. It's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
and
fabulous.
that's why when we were backstage and I was telling you about how, people would hear that I was running the meditation, and they'd sort of run for the hills like, "Oh my God, it's going to be like 45 minutes or an hour." But you know
Uh-huh.
what? Those people
Yeah,
went to Mars, man. They got
sure.
out of their
Good.
heads. A lot of people would come out of the meditations and they're just like, "I think I just fell asleep." And I'm like, "Talk to me in 4 days and
Mhm.
tell me what you did with your life. 'Cause you did not go to Mars, honey. You went
Right,
to a place in your soul that you needed
right.
to go to.
That you
You
needed to go
were
to.
jumping
Right.
around astral all over the place. You just don't know." And to let go that much is hard for some people.
It
Some
is.
people really do need that kind of, let me talk you through the relaxation bit, and then you'll go wherever you need to go.
Sure.
And when you're on a spiritual path, you need to do that a lot. You need,
You do. You do. And you have to try different venues to do it.
yeah,
It
you
isn't
do.
always going to work in one way or another. So this
That's
is
right.
just another help. This is just another way to go. Thank you so very much. I got a lot out of it, and I appreciate all the work that you took to do it. It was
Oh,
fabulous.
it's
Yeah.
my pleasure. And I also gained a great deal by doing this research. So I thank you as
That's
well. It was just marvelous.
sure.
And
Thank you.
again, that artist is Glenn Lewis, and all of
Mhm.
the sources are going to be in the description. So YouTube, please don't put us in jail for using other people's stuff, because we
Yeah,
are attributing everything, absolutely
everything.
everything. And
That's right.
and
That's
it's
right.
these are great sources. You can just get so much out of these sources. It's amazing.
Sure. Fabulous.
But the prophets are one of the websites that I got a lot of information out of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, that's okay. They've been around for a very long time, the
yeah,
prophets have. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. You can tell
that's
by her hairstyle, really a lot.
awesome. That's funny. Gives it right away. She's probably, I don't know, in her 70s or 80s now. I'm not sure. But yeah,
I don't know. I know the
she's
stuff
been
on their
around.
website looks dated, but still fresh. I mean, the
Yeah. Yeah.
information is still. I was blown away. I was like,
Which
you know,
reminds me, have you seen what's happened in? I know this is a little off topic, but there was a nun that passed, an African American nun, I want to say in Arkansas or Oklahoma or somewhere. And for some reason, they brought it out and exhumed her. I don't know why they exhumed her body, and she had no change after like 5 years. She looked the same as they buried her. And isn't that how you become
wow,
a, what do you call it? Isn't that how you become one of
a
the
saint.
saints or something?
I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think so.
yeah. Interesting. I
So
know.
a nun from Arkansas is going to be the
Or
next.
somewhere, or Oklahoma, I can't remember. But yeah, I've seen her picture. They took a picture of people looking at her in the casket after she had been brought back to for them to look at after all these number of years. You know, you can see a little
Wow.
bit, but not much. Yeah, she looks
Wow.
pretty much
See,
like they buried her. So yeah, I know.
we are living in such extraordinary times. We are witnessing
Yeah,
miracles every day that just get swept under the rug because they don't have to
yeah,
do with politics or the military. You know,
yeah.
like there are
Yes, I
miracles
know. I know.
all the time.
No. Yeah, we heard a lot. We miss out on so much, like you say, because of the distractions. So it is
Yeah,
important to have these kind of shows and
yeah,
discussions just to keep us
yeah.
going. So
And you
thank
know,
you.
the best television show is the one in your head when you're meditating. So,
That's
you know, that's
right.
the best one.
That's right. Absolutely. Oh, is Missouri? Okay, Erin. All right. I knew it was somewhere around there. They want her canonized.
Wow.
Well, they should canonize her because that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. All right. Ted Andrews
Oh,
has two books on the
2 books.
Kabbalah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know about his second one. I just
Okay.
know about the first one, but yeah, he's a very prolific author. He writes about
Yes.
a lot of different metaphysical stuff, and I, his animal spirit books. I've had that on my phone for over a decade. I love that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
refer to it all the time. It's priceless. But
That's
well,
awesome.
thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you
Yeah.
for watching.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Colleen. Everybody
Very
have a great
welcome.
day.
Okay, bye
Bye bye.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.